Kush's movie review.
Welcome to a special edition of Kush's movie review, where this episode we are reviewing Joker, Folie à Deux, which translates from French to Joker. This movie probably sucks balls. Kush, um, what do you think? This is a hot topic right now. This movie,
It's
starring that fella and Lady Gaga. How is it?
it's not terrible. It's not as terrible as everyone is making it out to be. It is losing a lot of steam though. That it just had its second weekend and now currently has the biggest box office drop for a second weekend of any comic book movie, or I think any movie period now at 81%. Like,
Oof.
yeah. Um, this is a movie. This is a movie. This is a sequel to a movie
Just the
that
facts,
did
ma'am.
not want a sequel. Okay, what I mean by that is 2019's Joker came out and box office success. Made $1.5 billion at the box office. Redundant. Best picture nomination, best actor win. It won an Academy Award for something else. I do forget it, but like all throughout leading up to that ceremony, people were asking the director Todd Phillips, like, "So, what are your plans for Joker 2?" And he's like, "There shouldn't be a Joker 2. I don't want there to be a Joker 2. This is a self-contained story. This should be it." However, just as I mentioned, 2 Academy Award wins and a $1.5 billion return. Warner Brothers is going, nah, you're giving us a sequel, sucker. And I think Todd Phillips did an interesting thing where not only did it get an increase in budget, but he also demanded 100% creative control. So he got no notes, he got no test screenings. Whatever he wanted, they gave him, and Warner Brothers might regret that now. So
Warner
again,
Brothers tend to regret a lot of things in their movie division.
they do, don't they? It's kind of embarrassing, but what are you gonna do? So this is rated R, and it is 2 hours and 18 minutes. Not a fan of the runtime, but it was fun. I always say like, cut 18 minutes here, cut a half hour there. It was fine. The runtime was not a problem. This is directed by the aforementioned Todd Phillips. He also had a part writing it, and as co-writer by a gentleman named Scott Silver. I'm not sure what he's done prior to this, but maybe he worked on Joker 1 as well. This stars Academy Award winner Joaquin Phoenix. Uh, don't think Lady Gaga has an Academy Award. She did have a nomination, but she's in this. And then
She was definitely
Mr.
nominated for A Star Is Born.
That's right. Yeah. And then Mr. Brendan Gleeson, who plays a complicated character as a prison guard. Um, it's very simple. The events of the last movie happened. Arthur Fleck, the Joker, is in Arkham Asylum. He is awaiting his trial. They're even talking about, is he really crazy or is he just full of shit? Is he trying to work the system here? Let's put the death penalty involved in this too. Um, from the beginning of this film, there's music in it. Like Brendan Gleeson, he's not doing a show tune or a number, but he's just a prison guard, just singing as he walks down the hallway. It's about 35, 45 minutes once we actually get to our first musical number, and then it just kind of keeps going from there. Majority of the time, everything is in Arthur Fleck's head. Some of the times he is imagining how the Joker would react in the situation he is currently in. Um, and then there are times where, are you familiar with a TV show from the 90s? You might be a little young for this, but it was called Cop Rock.
No, I have no
Okay,
idea,
that's
but it sounds fun.
Stephen. It was interesting. It was an interesting idea. Cop Rock in the early 90s was a Stephen Bochco production. That's the guy who did like Hill Street Blues, NYPD Blue. If there's cops, this guy's a part of it. And it'd be a 45-minute situational drama sprinkled in with musical numbers. Ronnie Cox was the star of it. Like the actual narrative of that show is pretty interesting. We're talking about police corruption and the lawmakers and this and that there, but then it would be flogged down with the actual musical numbers, which were weird. You want to see a bunch of cops rapping in the 90s? This is the show for you. And
Mm.
a lot of this stuff, when we're not having Arthur Fleck's hallucinations, really felt like a page out of cop rock. Um, maybe it's on YouTube somewhere. I would definitely recommend checking that out just at least once so you would know what I'm talking about. Um, for the first hour, this movie is just weird, and you're like, where are you going with this, Todd Phillips? Like, you have my attention. I was very impressed with the first Joker. I did not want to see that movie whatsoever. I didn't want it to exist, and then it wasn't what I thought it was going to be. So I think all those accolades for that first movie are well deserved. Again, though, we get back to the point where this sequel should not have existed. Period. Um, I think Todd Phillips went balls to the wall. I think he got very creative. I think he just said, fuck it. We're gonna do things my way and no one else's way, and I'll teach you, Warner Brothers, from making me make another sequel to a movie that I did not want to make a sequel to. Uh, I'm referencing the Hangover trilogy as well in this. Todd Phillips made The Hangover. Hangover was wildly successful, and then like, you're gonna make us Hangover 2 now. It's like, no, it doesn't need a sequel. Fine. You want a sequel? I'll make the same goddamn movie, but it'll be in Thailand. And that's what it was. And then that also, regardless of how it did critically, that also became a blockbuster. So we got a third Hangover. It's
I couldn't even tell you what happens in Hangover 3. That's how bad it was.
I literally just watched a reaction video the other day. It ties back to the first Hangover. And it's not so much a comedy or a hangover movie, but the guys have to find Mr. Chow because he's stolen $22 million worth of John Goodman gold.
Oh, Mr. Chow.
Oh,
Classic
Mr.
Mr.
Chow, you
Chow.
scamp. So, anyways, this review doesn't need to be any longer. It's I would like to give it more. Part of me thinks I should give it less, but I'm giving it a 3 out of 5. I mean, the individual scenes of Joker 2 are all pretty amazing. Individual scenes wise. Okay, but when you try to glue them all together as a cohesive narrative, something about it just doesn't work. I like the sets. I like the I like the performances, but I'm not a big fan of the music they used. None of it was original. It's all just like old 60s, 70s, some gospel stuff. Lady Gaga is fantastic in this film. Joaquin Phoenix, I think he's just there. There's nothing terrible about his performance, but there's nothing groundbreaking either. I heard a lot of people complaining about his performances, but also Arthur Fleck isn't a singer, so it's gonna sound raspy, and he's gonna do some weird manipulation of his body. Anyways, Joker 2, huge flop. 3 out of 5. I I could not recommend anyone actually go out of their way to see this. It'll be on HBO Max in probably a month and a half, 6 weeks.
So there you go. Joker, Folie Deux. 3 out of 5.
Yeah,
Bum, 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 bum. Wow.
people are being awful hard on this movie for no reason. It's again, it ain't great, but it's not a steaming pile of shit. It's not cancer.
Well, spoiler alert is if you don't want spoilers, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Is there a thing I saw somewhere that there's a big kind of payoff at the end where you're kind of like, wait, what?
Yeah,
Is there like a big thing at the end where is it
Todd
true
Phillips. Oh, please.
that it's revealed that Arthur Fleck isn't even the Joker, the Joker?
Yeah, no, Arthur Fleck is not the Joker that we know of from the Batman comics. Um, Now again, we're in spoiler territory here, so Todd Phillips went way out of his way to say there is not going to be a Joker 3, or if it is, Arthur Fleck is not going to be in Joker 3, where because he is violently stabbed in the hallway of Arkham Asylum and bleeds out onto the floor. Roll credits.
He
Now it's a
did.
comic book movie, so if Warner Brothers really wants one, and I don't think they do anymore, but if they wanted a Joker 3, guess what? Some other crazy asshole can be inspired by Arthur Fleck, put some white face on, and go like, "I'm the Joker, baby," and then you would get a Joker movie again out of that. But why? not necessary. The
Well, I'm
first one
sure
wasn't
this
needed.
won't be the last Joker we see in the DC universe, which is a goddamn mess.
Well,
James
so the
Gunn has a good old job to clean that shit up.
Joker movies were excluded from the DCEU or whatever we're calling it. Like
No, they're
the
kind of they were dubbed something like DC Legacy movies or something like that, where they're supposed to be like standalone, but they're not part of the actual canon of the universe, which
okay.
James Gunn's trying to do. And even though he started to do his own movie, they're still releasing these movies that have nothing to do with it. And then there's the Penguin TV series on Max, which
Mhm.
apparently has nothing to do with anything either. So,
Well, so that is the Penguin TV show, which I haven't seen an episode of, but I've only heard good
I've
things
heard
about.
very good things. Yep.
Yeah. That is related to the Batman movie with Robert Pattinson. However, the Joker movies are not related to the Batman at all. Uh, in fact, one of my biggest complaints of the original Joker was, if you just called it any other city and you didn't have the Waynes there, should have been a much better movie, despite how good it was. But like, let's just remove all. You can still call him the Joker. That's not a fucking yeah. That's not a huge leap for any criminal asshole out there these days. But like,
Yeah, you could say he was like inspired by the Joker, and so he
or
called
just
himself the Joker. He was so insane he called himself the Joker.
yeah. So
It's
anyways,
kind of like Resident Evil. You ever watched the Resident Evil movies?
some of them.
If they were just called random zombie movie
No,
and
yeah.
they took out all the Resident Evil references, they
Mhm.
would be really good movies. But because they're supposed to be Resident Evil movies, they're terrible.
It is weird how far to the left that cinematic series went away from the video games.
Well, it
But
barely
people kept
started.
seeing them.
Like we could do a whole video on them. We could do a watch
Oh,
along of those and do a whole
oh
breakdown of
God.
how bad those are.
I rented part 3 when it came out on DVD, and then that bitch started levitating cars and rocks. And I was like, nope, not having that. Um, to we should wrap this up, but to
Yeah.
get to your point, where the DC this doesn't match with that, and the standalone, like the DC animated universe, I think they have like 40 movies now, and unless there's a 1 or a 2 in the title, no one movie has anything to do with the previous movie or the next movie that comes out. Like, sure, Wonder Woman and the Flash and the Green Lantern might go on an adventure together, but it has nothing to do with the previous Wonder Woman cartoon. It has nothing previous to do with the Green Lantern. They're just, this is the story, this is the adventure. Here are your favorite DC heroes going at it. And by the way, they're all pretty incredibly violent, even for a cartoon. Where I'm just like, damn, Wonder Woman just cut a dude's head off. Fuck.
That's a hell of a whip.
But she has a sword. No, they
Oh,
gave Wonder Woman a sword.
oh shit.
Yeah. She has her little lasso of truth, but no, they give that bitch a sword. She's an Amazon. You're like, kill you. But anyways, Joker 2, 3 out of 5.
That's all, folks.
Play me off, Johnny.